From the first interview to the last one, the change I noticed was that I slowly started to lose fear. It's very frightening because you think that people will judge you based on that prototype. Hello there. So, as part of the shipaton and building public, I decided to start posting my weekly dev updates as a video. Let's see how it goes. So, the main focus from the last week was user testing interviews. In total, I did 10 interviews. So, the way these interviews went was the following. I connected with people through Zoom. I shared a presentation where I provided an introduction to my app, the concepts behind it, some examples so people can get an idea of how it will work. And then I shared the iOS simulator screen and grant access to people so they can control my computer. And in particular, they control the simulator. And I would provide them with some challenges so that I would see if the logic that makes sense in my mind would also make sense for the users. The three main outcomes I gathered from this experience, this is my first time doing this. Of course, it's also my first iOS app, was to have validation. Up until now, my application idea came from personal necessity, and it was also supported by research I did, by the reviews I read from similar applications. But connecting with someone and hearing them say that they are excited or that the idea of the application resonates with them was wonderful. Secondly, I was able to make improvements to the prototype really fast. As soon as I completed the two first interviews, I noticed some logic in my application, which is basically the history screen in my app was somewhere else, and I moved it inside the stats screen because the stats screen is where everyone who I interviewed looked for that option. Sure, it makes a lot of sense for the history to be inside stats, but I was biased by other inspirations I had, by other experiences, and I wasn't able to see that as clear as when I saw people trying my prototype. The third point I wanted to talk about was about prioritization. And is that, sure, I had a minimum lovable product in my mind that I want to launch with. However, the features I had in mind were slightly changed by the experience of users, because even though the prototype didn't have everything implemented, I was able to ask questions like, okay, picture this. How would you like this feature if this would happen? I was able to ask users, and they provided extremely valuable feedback. So now I can adjust the scope of my app with the features that the users of the app will want the most. From the first interview to the last one, the change I noticed was that I slowly started to lose fear. It's very frightening because you think that people will judge you based on that prototype, which later on I found out it's not the case. If you provide context, people will understand and they will focus on what you ask them to focus on. If anything, now I am more motivated to continue working on my app. And even while doing the interviews, because it is a different mindset that you set yourself into, like while doing user interviews versus directly working on the app, you have more thinking space. And this thinking space allowed me to visualize how I want my application to behave, how the design would make the best sense for the app to communicate the personality I want it to have. So this is the end of the update. I hope you liked it. If you want to get updates from my indie developer journey, you can go to c12z.com and sign up for my newsletter. So thanks for watching and see you around.